I still remember the exact sound the plate made when it shattered against my head. A sharp crack, then silence. Not the peaceful kind of silence, the kind that fills a room when everyone realizes something terrible just happened. But no one wants to admit it. Tiny shards of porcelain slid down my hair and onto the dinner table. My ears rang, my vision blurred, and across from me, my husband stood there breathing hard, his hand still in the air, his face red with rage. "How dare you say no to my mother?" he shouted. And the worst part? No one at the table looked shocked. Not his sister, not his father, not even the woman who caused it all. His mother. Instead, she slowly dabbed the corner of her mouth with a napkin. Like this was just another normal dinner. Like I was the one who ruined the evening. And in that moment, with warm blood sliding down my temple, I realized something. That plate wasn't the first thing my husband had ever thrown at me, but it would be the last. What they didn't know was that the moment that plate shattered, so did my silence, and within 3 weeks, that entire family would regret the day they ever humiliated me. But to understand why that plate ended up in pieces on the floor, you need to understand something about my mother-in-law and the strange, twisted rules of her house. I met Daniel 6 years ago. At the time, he was charming, funny, protective, the kind of man who made you feel like the safest person in the room. When he proposed after only 9 months, everyone told me it was fast. But when you're in love, fast feels like destiny. And Daniel made me feel like I was the luckiest woman alive, at least until I met his mother. The first time I walked into her house, she didn't hug me. She didn't smile. She didn't even say hello. She just looked me up and down like she was inspecting a product someone had returned to the store. Then she said something I should have taken as a warning. "Oh, so this is the girl." That was it. No warmth, no excitement, just quiet disappointment. I laughed nervously, thinking maybe she was joking. Daniel squeezed my hand and whispered, "Don't worry, she's like that with everyone." But later that night, I realized something. She wasn't like that with everyone, just with me. The criticism started small, little comments, tiny cuts disguised as helpful advice. "You cook rice wrong. You talk too loudly. You should wear more elegant clothes. You should fix your posture." And every time she said something like that, Daniel would just smile awkwardly. "Mom's old school," he'd say. "She means well." But something about the way she looked at me always made my stomach tighten, like she wasn't trying to help me, like she was trying to train me. I ignored it, because when you're newly married, you tell yourself things will get better. You convince yourself families just need time to adjust. But then something strange started happening at their weekly family dinners, and that's when I realized this wasn't normal family behavior, not even close. Every Sunday night, Daniel's entire family gathered at his parents' house. His mother cooked, everyone praised her, everyone thanked her, and most importantly, everyone obeyed her. She decided where people sat. She decided what people ate. She even decided when conversations ended. And if anyone disagreed, the entire room would go silent. Then someone would apologize, usually Daniel's father, sometimes his sister, but always quickly, like they were afraid of something. The first time I saw it happen, I laughed. I thought they were being dramatic. Until one night, she turned that attention toward me. It happened over something ridiculously small. Dessert. She served this overly sweet strawberry cake she made every week. Everyone at the table took a slice. When she passed the plate to me, I smiled politely. "Thank you, but I'm full." I didn't think anything of it, but the way her hand froze mid-air told me I had made a mistake. "You're refusing my dessert?" she asked slowly. Her voice was soft, too soft. I laughed again, thinking she was teasing. "No, I just ate a lot already." For a moment, no one spoke. Then Daniel gently nudged my leg under the table, hard. The message was clear: take the cake, but I didn't understand why. So I smiled and said the same thing again: "No, thank you." And suddenly, the temperature in the room dropped. His mother slowly set the cake plate down. Then she turned to Daniel. Your wife doesn't respect me. The entire table stared at me, like I had just insulted the Queen of England. Daniel cleared his throat nervously. She didn't mean it like that, Mom. But his mother wasn't looking at him. She was looking at me. And the way her eyes narrowed made something in my chest tighten. You will learn, she said quietly. At the time, I thought she was being dramatic. I had no idea that moment would start something much bigger, something darker, something that would eventually lead to that shattered plate. After that night, the tension grew. At first, it was just awkward silences. Then came the passive-aggressive comments. Some wives know how to respect elders. Some women understand family tradition. Some girls today think they are too modern. Every comment came with a glance in my direction. But the worst part wasn't her. It was Daniel. Because instead of defending me, he started changing, slowly, subtly. At first, it was just little reminders. Maybe just take the dessert next time. It makes Mom happy. Then it became expectations. You should ask her before bringing food. Mom likes it when guests follow her traditions. Guests. That word stuck in my head. Because I wasn't a guest. I was his wife. But in that house, I started to realize something disturbing. I wasn't Daniel's partner. I was his mother's project. And every week, the pressure grew. Until the night everything exploded. 3 weeks ago, we arrived for another Sunday dinner, but something felt different the moment I walked in. The house was quieter than usual. His mother barely acknowledged me, and Daniel seemed tense. Halfway through dinner, his mother finally spoke. I need a favor, she said. Her voice was calm, but everyone at the table straightened, because when she said favor, it was never really a request. She looked directly at me. You will quit your job. I blinked. I thought I misheard her. I'm sorry? You work too much, she continued. A proper wife focuses on family. I felt heat rising in my chest. My job wasn't just a job. It was my career, my independence, my entire future. I turned to Daniel, expecting him to laugh it off. Instead, he nodded slowly. I actually think Mom has a point. My stomach dropped. You're serious? Think about it, he said calmly. You could help Mom more, be around the house. Help Mom around her house. That's when I realized something terrifying. This wasn't just her idea. They had talked about it, behind my back, for weeks. And suddenly, everything made sense. The tension, the pressure, the constant criticism. They weren't trying to improve me. They were trying to reshape me. And right there, in front of everyone, I said the one word that changed everything. No. The room froze. You would have thought I had just thrown a bomb onto the dinner table. His mother's smile disappeared instantly. What did you say? I swallowed, but I didn't back down. I said no. Her chair scraped loudly as she stood up. You refuse to support your husband? I support him, I replied, but I'm not quitting my job. She turned slowly to Daniel. You see? She said coldly. She disrespects you too. Daniel's face hardened. Just apologize and agree, he whispered. I shook my head. No. And that's when he snapped. His hand grabbed the plate in front of him. For a split second, I thought he was just angry. Maybe he would slam it on the table. Maybe he would yell, but instead, he lifted it and hurled it straight at my head. The crack echoed through the room, and just like that, my marriage ended. No one helped me. Not one person. As blood trickled down my forehead, Daniel's sister rolled her eyes. His father looked away. And his mother? She leaned back in her chair and said something I will never forget. Maybe now she will learn. That sentence burned deeper than the cut on my head, because it told me everything. This wasn't an accident. It wasn't shock. It was approval. I stood up slowly, my hands trembling. Daniel looked at me with a mixture of anger and expectation, like he was waiting for me to apologize. But instead, I said something that made his mother laugh. I'm leaving. Daniel scoffed. Where are you going? I grabbed my purse. Somewhere better. His mother smirked. You'll come back. They always do. I paused at the door, then I looked directly at her. No, I said quietly. You're the one who's going to regret tonight. And the truth is, I didn't even know exactly how yet. But within 3 weeks, their entire world would collapse. Because what they didn't know was that someone had been watching that dinner. Someone who recorded everything. And that video was about to change everything. 2 days after the incident, Daniel texted me, not to apologize, not to ask if I was okay, but to demand something. Come home and fix this. I stared at the message for a long time. Then I replied with just 3 words. No court settlement. He didn't understand what that meant yet. But he would soon, because the neighbor across the street had security cameras, and those cameras captured everything. The shouting, the plate, the impact. And when my lawyer saw the footage, he smiled. Congratulations, he said. You just won the easiest case of my career. 3 weeks later, we met again. But this time, it wasn't at a dinner table. It was in a courtroom. Daniel looked confident when he walked in. His mother sat proudly beside him. They thought I was bluffing. They thought I would beg for reconciliation. But when the judge pressed play, the entire room went silent. The video showed everything. The yelling, the insult, the moment the plate shattered against my head. And when it ended, Daniel looked like someone had drained all the blood from his body. His mother tried to speak, tried to argue, but the judge shut her down instantly. And within 20 minutes, the ruling came down, restraining order, full divorce settlement, and financial damages. Daniel lost nearly everything: his reputation, his savings, his career opportunities, but the most satisfying part, his mother. Because the judge turned to her and said something that made her face go pale. Your encouragement of this behavior is deeply disturbing. For the first time since I met her, she had nothing to say. And as I walked out of that courtroom, I realized something. The woman who once demanded obedience was now the reason her own son lost everything. And the best part, I never had to raise my voice. I never had to throw anything back. All I had to do and I was say no and walk away.